over there, don't walk on the water. Take the bridge. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. What a fantastic turnout. What a fantastic crowd. I know why you're here, because you're fed up. Fed up with the way this government treats people, and fed up with the inequality, injustice and poverty within our society. I'm here to support Josh as your candidate, and I want you to make sure he is your next MP for Calder Valley. Are you agreed on that? Because in Josh you've got a candidate who is serious about dealing with poverty in our society, who is serious about representing the people of this community, who is serious about forcing the government to invest the money necessary to protect our towns and villages and communities against flooding because the government has not invested enough on it in the past. And so you'll have an MP who doesn't play stunts with schools, instead stands up to support our local teachers and our local schools, and you'll have a Labour government that doesn't force schools to go through the indignity of deciding which teacher, which teaching assistant, which subject, which special needs coordinator to get rid of because of the cuts in the budget. Instead, you'll have a government that doesn't ask schools to collect the salaries from the parents. Instead, we'll use the collective endeavour of our taxation to ensure that all children, wherever they are, whatever their postcode, get the same decent chance in life. Kind of world that we want to live in. I've just come from Liverpool, where I was at, you're supposed to cheer at that point. I've just come there from the Royal College of Nursing conference where I was invited to speak to it. And I opened the speech, it wasn't on the script at all, I just said, look folks, I'm here because there's an NHS. You're here because there's an NHS. I just want to say, on behalf of millions of people, thank you to everyone in the NHS that looks after us all the year round, that's coped with this crisis of the cyber attack, and coped with so many other crises. And you don't deserve a government that refused to spend the money to protect the very necessary protection of systems which have now led us to be held to ransom by some criminals grabbing hold of our medical records. You need a government that's serious about protecting the health of all of us. And you need a government that isn't presiding over a 14% pay cut over the last 7 years for NHS workers. And so I announced we would lift the pay cap on the public sector. I also announced that we would suspend the sustainability and transformation plans, look at them all afresh and make sure that every part of this country, wherever it is, has an A&E department in reach, that has an NHS that works for it locally. An NHS that understands that health inequality is serious and an enormous issue in our society. So we need better housing, we need better schools, we need a fully funded NHS. That is what we're about. But we're also about dealing with the other crisis that gets so little mention in our society, the mental health crisis that affects a quarter of us at some point in our lives. Minister, yes I will. Yes I will, because I'm terrified at the way in which so many people suffer alone and young people take their own lives because they can see no way out of it. We have to end the stigma, promote the inclusion, but above all, pay for the services so that people don't wait months and months to get a therapy support they should have got from day one. That's what papers today are saying that the Conservative Party leader, who doesn't like to talk about the party she leads, is telling us that they're now the workers' friend. It's a strange notion. The first question I put to the Prime Minister when she became Prime Minister was, will you institute a public inquiry into the events in Orgreave during the miners' strike? I'm still waiting for the answer. I asked her why, if they're so friendly towards every worker in this country, there are 6 million of us earning less than the living wage. There are 1 million on 0 hours contracts. There are people who are denied justice because of the fees and potentially the costs imposed upon them because they take their case to an employment tribunal. Our alternative is a very different one. Full employment rights from day one, an end to 0 hours contracts, an end to discrimination on gender, closing and removing the gender pay gap. Our offer is something very different, but our offer is also about rights at work. The right to be represented by an independent trade union, the right to organise, the right to representation and equality, the right to representation on health and safety. And when a company goes bust, the right to make sure that company is offered to those that have made it wealthy, the right for people to keep their jobs. And beyond that, a government that will invest in the infrastructure and the jobs and the sustainable industries of the future, because that is what we are trying to offer as a Labour Party. Tomorrow our manifesto will be launched in Bradford, and I'm sure none of you have had a sneak preview of it anywhere, so you have no idea anything that's in it, but you may have had some ideas fed to you. It's a manifesto which will deal with the issues of health, of housing, and of education within our society. But it's also a manifesto that values people, that doesn't want so many of our elderly lacking the services they need, but above all, living in isolation and loneliness. So many of our young people, racked with debt because they went to college or university, unable to work at the level of their skills because we haven't had the proper investment in sustainable industries for the future and the new technologies. It is about our approach to community and our approach to society. It's also our approach to the environment and to the natural world. We've got to live within the world we live in. We have to protect the planet on which we live. And so, there will be an energy policy that reflects that. And I tell you this, with our government around the councils of the world, we will be challenging the issue of global warming, of air pollution, of sea pollution and dumping. We will be challenging the issues of human rights and justice around the world. We will be doing everything we can to build that cleaner, fairer, safer society in Britain and use our influence around the world to achieve that. In this constituency, you have the chance to elect Josh as your Labour MP. A Labour MP who will stand up for you, a community that will see better housing, better healthcare and better education, so that our children may benefit in the future from what we invest today. And one of my proudest pledges that we put forward as a party, will be repeated in the manifesto, but has already been made, is this. I want all our children to do well in creating school. Therefore, I want there to be a pupil arts premium, so every child can learn music in school. So it's in that Labour tradition of a community doing things together. And in this election campaign, we've fed lots of negative stuff in much of our broadsheet newspapers and many others. We've fed this line that everything you want, you can't have. Everything is impossible because of the levels of inequality within our society. And yet, on every town and every street in this country, there's something very different going on. People coming together, like the thousands of us here today in Hebden Bridge, coming together determined to achieve something different. And so we've got 3 weeks to do it. 3 weeks to get everyone registered to vote. 3 weeks to get that message out of inspiration to the young and the old and all those in between. As a society together, we can do a lot better than passing by on the other side while there are people homeless, stressed or unemployed. Either you have the arid meanness and the arrogance of a Conservative party that claims it's moving into the 21st century, accompanied by the return of fox hunting in grammar schools. I'm trying to get my head around that one. Or you can have our way of doing things, which is the people's way of doing things, the people's way of coming together to solve our problems together, to create together, to achieve together, to give a real future to all of our young people. Are you up for it?